Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. Welcome to another devotional. Today is March 12th, 2021, and exactly 1 year ago today was my last normal day before COVID. I went to the movie theater. I stuffed myself with two other friends into a photo booth. So I did a lot of things that I haven't done in over a year. And so today I just wanted to reflect on this past year and the insanity that has been and the uncertainty of it. Just because I'm the type of person who tends to say like, oh, a year ago this happened. And I remember dates weirdly like that. So over this whole past year, I've always said like, oh, March 12th was my last normal day. And COVID, it's not like COVID like officially hit like the next day, but it was a Thursday, and the Friday we were supposed to have our youth all-nighter, but then that got canceled because of COVID. And at that time things still weren't shut down, but we were just being cautious. So the 13th was kind of the first day that COVID affected me. So March 12th was my last normal day. So it's crazy to think that that was now a year ago. But I've just been thinking about this past year and just thinking so much about the Lord's faithfulness to us in everything that has happened. And I wanted to share with you Hebrews 10 verse 23, which says, "Let us hold unswervingly to the hope we profess, for he who promised is faithful." And so I just want to remind us that like a year ago now, we were like, oh, we'll be in lockdown for 2 weeks. And all of us were like, oh, wow, 2 weeks. Okay, how are we going to survive? And then it turned into a month. And then I remember at 3 months, I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, what is this going to last a year? Yep, like probably more. So we're now like a year later. And I've just been thinking to myself, wow, like, we survived, like we're okay. And that's not to undermine all the crap that has happened in this past year. And I know so many people have been hurting and have lost so much, whether it's been affected by COVID or it's outside of COVID, but then COVID affected how you grieved and different things. Like we've all gone through a very tough year, and we've all been in crisis mode for over a year now. And so that's not to undermine that, but just to think about the fact that at one point we thought that 2 weeks would be a lot, or that like 3 months would be a lot, or 6 months would be a lot. But we're now a year into this. And if you're watching this, like you survived, like we did it. We made it through a year. And looking back at it, even though I do not want this to go on for another year, part of me is like, I know that I could do it. I know that I could survive another year because I've already done it. Like I've already succeeded in getting through this. And that is not to say that it was on my own strength. It was not. It was all God and his faithfulness. And he remained faithful through all of this uncertainty and all of this craziness, and he will remain faithful in the months and the years to come. And the other thing is that when COVID is over one day, that's not to say that something else isn't going to happen. It might not be worldwide. It might not affect literally every human being on the planet. That's the uniqueness of this past year. But we're all going to have trials in our lives. We're going to continue to have hard times. But it's just going to look different for each and every one of us. So it's remembering that once this trial is over, we will face something else. But God, again, remains faithful. Like he must be faithful. For God not to be faithful, it would go against who he is and what it means for him to be God. So I just wanted to encourage you this morning, a year into this, that our hope does not need to waver. It is not easily shaken because we put our hope and our faith in an unchanging, faithful God who says that he will be with us and he will never leave us nor forsake us, no matter what the circumstances are. So happy 1 year COVID anniversary, and whatever is in store in the future, we don't know what tomorrow holds. I think back to March 12th of 2020. I had no idea what the next week would look like in everything shutting down. Like I was just living in naive bliss on March 12th, 2020, and going to the movie theater and hanging out with my friends. Like it was so great. I had no idea what was in store for me. And so the same is true for us now heading into this next year. We don't know what's in store for us, and it could be amazing things and it could be more tough things, but everything isn't always bad and everything isn't always good. Like, it's intertwined. And I was listening to a testimony of a friend on the weekend, and she said something along the lines of, that's a bad thing, but it's not a bad life. And I loved that so much. It's like, COVID is a bad thing, but we're not living a bad life. And all of us go through different trials and circumstances, but our life in its whole isn't bad because we have God and we have this hope that He has promised us, and He brings us encouraging good things along the way. And so we need to focus on the good and not just the bad. And that's not to say that we ignore the bad and pretend that it's not happening. We need to recognize reality, but it's also focusing on the good. There have been so many good things that have come because of COVID. Like, I have met some of my greatest friends in this past year, and we have grown in ways that we never would have if it hadn't been for COVID. And I have got to spend so much more time and grow closer to my family because of COVID. And just, I have been able to connect with the kids and do videos like this, which I never would have done beforehand, and use skills and abilities that God has given me that COVID opened up the opportunity for me to use. So I just challenge you to think about the good that has happened in this past year and the encouraging things that God has brought to you and in your path over this past year, and just to remember and reflect on those, and to praise Him and give thanks to Him for what He has done. And then, just a reminder, let us hold unswervingly to the hope we profess, for He who promised is faithful. So thanks again for watching. Here's to the next year. I'm not going to say another year of COVID, because I hope it's not another year, but if it is, guys, we got this. Like, we have God on our side. We can do it. So I hope you have a fantastic weekend. I hope to see you at the car rally on Sunday. If you have not signed up, make sure to go sign up on the Eventbrite page. We are very excited about it. It's a great way for us to just have fun and goof around and have an event even during this crazy time. So we will see you guys hopefully soon, and have a great weekend. Bye.